So when is your term officially, like, do you know, I guess you probably do, your last day of office?
So it depends on if there's a runoff, which is a very high likelihood with 27 candidates for mayor that there'll be a runoff. So I believe the date that the date that we would canvass the election and the new mayor would be sworn in is June 16th. So that would be my last day.
Wow. So not a lot of time, but also still a lot to do.
Yes.
What do you still have to do?
Continue the work of the city. You know, the nature of the work that we have done over the last 8 years, and I'm very proud of the work that we have done together, is long term. You know, what I have focused on is building and rebuilding the foundations of our economy to make it a place where we can sustain an inclusive prosperity for the long term. San Antonio has weathered some serious crises over the last several years, much like many other cities and the nation in general. What is different is that San Antonio has struggled with some historic challenges, generational poverty, lack of investment in certain areas of town. We have worked to address those challenges and set the foundation for long-term sustained growth and economic inclusion that I think will benefit generations to come in San Antonio.
Was there a key to that? One specific thing?
There's actually, in my view, a systems approach to it. We've really focused on the intersection of economic mobility in really three ways. The first is building a healthy housing ecosystem in San Antonio. You know, housing is the basic building block of a strong economy, of a family's economic security. Every city in the country is facing an extraordinary housing crisis. We have worked to create a plan, a strategy to create a healthy housing market in San Antonio, working with the public and private sector to do that. We're in year 3 of a strategic housing implementation plan that has made San Antonio, despite some of those challenges, one of the healthiest and most affordable markets in the country. We want to retain that for the benefit of our local community and also as we continue to grow. The second pillar of the approach to economic mobility is transportation. The second highest expense for a family is the cost of getting around. Usually it requires a vehicle. And for some families, too many families, the cost of a vehicle is sometimes the difference between being able to afford food to put on the table or not. And so we've got to create alternatives for people to move around the city. And so for the first time ever in our city, because of voters' approval, we are building a mass transit system here in our city. I'm excited by that. The third pillar is education and workforce, and making sure that our community has the skills to obtain and attract the jobs of tomorrow, the jobs that are paying a livable wage with benefits. Those are the jobs that employers desperately want to fill, but there's been a mismatch with the skills and education level of our community. And so we have invested in education from earliest learners in pre-K all the way through adult learners who want to get back into the workforce and need to be retrained. And San Antonio now has the strongest, most well-resourced workforce pipeline in the country. We've got to continue on all those efforts.
I think that's really interesting because I'm always looking at what's going on at the Boeing Center, and they're always announcing like new people coming, and I think people are really surprised that San Antonio is jumping on that. That's right, and San Antonians are filling those jobs in large part because there are these training opportunities, both training, post-secondary education when someone leaves high school and they're able to get a professional certification in manufacturing, one of the trades, or they're re-entering the workforce and doing the same thing through one of our programs like Ready to Work, which is the single largest local investment in workforce development in our nation's history. These things are vitally important for people to be able to have independence, financial independence, being able to be upwardly mobile in their lives to sustain themselves and their families in the long run. And we are also doing it while improving access to a college education. So for those who want to have access to a college education, we want to be able to create pathways there that are independent of your circumstances. The same thing, if you don't want to go to college, we want you to be able to access a good quality job, a good career, and we have that as well. That's the environment that we've created here in San Antonio. When you look back over your tenure, what do you want your legacy to be?
I don't think about those things in terms of legacy. I really believe that the important work that we do here at the city is long-term in nature. So for the 8 years that I've served as mayor, I want to make as much progress on building that foundation for sustained economic inclusion as I possibly can, and I'm going to hand it off to the next person, and hopefully it will continue the progress of the city. At the end of the day, my legacy is my son and his generation, and what do they think of the work that we did during those 8 years? And I'm very happy to say, I am proud to say that I can confidently answer him when he asked me, and he started asking me this 12 years ago when he was barely 4 years old. Have I made the world a better place? Did I improve San Antonio with the time I've had? And I can confidently say yes. This city is better off today than it was when I first walked in here, and the same will be true as we continue to move forward if we continue to make the investments in human capital and infrastructure that we've set course on over the last several years.
So what's next for you? Some R&R, vacation.
That's not my style, really. But first and most importantly, I want to finish the job. This job really never ends, so I will be working to the last minute of my tenure to make sure that we continue to make progress in the city on all these things I mentioned. The airport is another indication of the future of San Antonio, why we can be optimistic about it. After that, I look forward to whatever comes next, but I am confident that in one way, shape, or form, I will be serving the public. Whether that means in politics or something else, I'm continuing to meditate and pray on that, but needless to say, I don't think you've heard the last of me.
I was going to ask you if you intend to stay in politics, so we're just kind of mulling everything over.
Yeah, I think the reality is when you've had the opportunity to serve the public in a meaningful way, and I have been blessed and privileged to be mayor of this city. That is a calling that really grabs you in a way that you really can't describe. But I want to continue to make sure that I'm making impact in this community, in this world, in a way that benefits the people who will come after us.
It's got to be so hard to leave this seat, this office, this position, right?
The time has come, and certainly Erica will remind me of that. It's been a privilege. It has been an honor, and when it's my time in a few months from now to hand the baton, I'll be ready to do that, with the hope and optimism that we will continue to make this city the best city in the world.
Is your family ready to have probably some more just you time?
We have a few plans to spend a little bit more time together, which has been scarce in recent years. But we're excited about the next phase of life, and my son Jonah is got his own adventures. But my wife and I are going to continue to work together to serve in different capacities. I'm looking forward to that next phase in life. I consider this sort of the end of Act 1.
That's nice. Well, we do the light up night on Black Friday every year, the River Parade, and you're there, and New Year's, you're there, and I just feel like it's so much pressure to put on. You sign up for it, but your families inadvertently sign up for it as well. And I understand what that's like too, because we also have to be on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So is it just this, okay, let's keep going, embrace from your family?
It is, yeah. But we think about the future, and when the time ends here, it is not the end. I mean, look, I'm working in a political environment, and Lord knows we need a little bit more common sense and collaboration in our political environment. San Antonio has been a great example of how we can do that the right way, and I'm interested in making sure that communities learn from the examples that San Antonio has set to solve difficult challenges, to do that together, to focus on common sense solutions to big problems. So I'm looking forward to the next chapter. I'm looking forward to having a little bit more time with Erica and Jonah. But I'm also, raring to go, because there are problems out there that need to be solved, and it requires us to focus on the right things to do that.
Harness the momentum that you already have following Act 1. Maybe a brief intermission and then you're good to go. Okay, so yeah, you mentioned the airport. That will be finished, when someone else has taken over, just like all of these huge changes downtown. But that's what you started, the work that you started, and how proud of that are you?
I'm very proud, but I always remind everyone around here that nothing good happens without teamwork. This is a result of a lot of people pouring their energy into ensuring we accomplish that vision of a world-class air service facility and operation that San Antonio deserves. We are the 7th most populous city in the country. We're a major international city, and it's about time our air service matches that. And we are shovels in the ground for SAT becoming that. And so I'm extraordinarily proud. It started really in the first few months of my tenure in 2017, finally overcoming all of those debates about where we should build that airport of the future, and we're finally underway. It's monumental. The new terminal will be bigger than the 2 current terminals combined. We're already discussing the second parallel runway, which will greatly expand capacity. So the connectivity, the competitiveness, the cost advantage for San Antonio travelers are all part of the future of San Antonio. So I'm excited and I am proud of the progress there.
And what about everything that's happening with Project Marvel?
Yeah, so downtown is under massive transformation, and that's for the benefit of San Antonio residents, making it a place where not only can we capture the history and the heritage of this unique city with a Mexican-American culture that is irreplicable, but also adding to it the modern amenities, the restaurants, the shops, the bars that local San Antonio residents can feel good about, but also access more easily. That's all. That's it's going to be a wonderful thing. And then to do what we have been talking about for literally decades, and bringing the Spurs back to the center of the city, that's an opportunity I think that could be can't be overstated in terms of its transformational impact. So I'm excited about those conversations moving forward. We also obviously want to make sure that they're done with the input and guidance of the community, and that's what we're here to make sure happens.
Can you reflect on some of the memorable moments, just here and there, throughout your 8 years as mayor? Some of the things that you remember or that stand out?
There's a lot. I remember being bone-chillingly cold on stage out the Hemisphere when we were ringing in 2018 during the Tricentennial. That was an amazing experience, seeing literally hundreds of thousands of San Antonians gather in celebration of the incredible history that we're telling the world about. I remember some of the challenging times. COVID was a lonely, uncertain, perilous time for this community, but I'm also proud of the way that we worked together to get through it and saw the very best of people during that period of time. We've celebrated incredible moments. We've had huge economic development wins. We've had, moments of triumph when we, saw our first bowl victory for the UTSA Roadrunners. I mean, there's so many moments. The one that still kind of is seared into my memory in a positive way, though, is standing there when I was getting sworn in as mayor with my son standing beside me. It's actually subject to that painting that's on the wall there. But this has been a true labor of love. I try to describe it to people. As a father, people can understand the care and love that you have for your child. In many ways, this as mayor, that feeling kind of overtakes you for the entire city. It's almost as if your family expands to include all the residents of the city, and that's kind of the internal feelings that I have, and that mayors, I think, have about their communities that really never leave you but drive you to do right by the city that you serve.
Well, yeah, you'll never be able to walk down the street without someone being Mayor Nirenberg.
Yeah, but you internalize, you feel the challenges that they're experiencing, and you want to do everything you can. And I've poured my whole being into trying to do what we can to address those challenges, not just for the people who are here today, but the people who inherit this city, their children and grandchildren too.
I love that painting. I remember it the first time I was just taking a picture of it. How has your office changed over the last 8 years?
There's a lot more tchotchkes and stuff that's on the walls. When I first came in after we had done the City Hall restoration, I had somebody come in and just actually put stuff so it looks nice. I've totally ruined their initial approach. But no, there's a lot more mementos that will be in the archives about the way this city has connected and the way I've been able to connect with other communities, with people in our city that create a sense of pride and connection with residents both here and in other places, that hopefully encourages people to hold San Antonio in high esteem, to want to visit it, to want to invest in it, to want to stay here if they're already here and raise their children in it. But I've had the opportunity now to be the representative and steward of San Antonio's reputation, and I can tell you, outside of San Antonio, when you go talk about our community, there are people who really look at our city as an exemplar for solving problems, for upholding culture and heritage, and for having pride in their community.
What are some of the items in here that are your favorites?
I love the UTSA helmet that Coach Traylor gave me. I mean, that's they all. My most prized possession, though, of course, is that painting of my son and I behind the dais, or behind the. Oh, sorry. My favorite thing in this office is the painting of Jonah and me at the swearing in. I mentioned the UTSA helmet. There's a key I recently got to the city of Querétaro, which actually is the city where the Franciscan friars first launched their trek to San Antonio to build the missions.
Wow.
We're now a sister city with Querétaro. But just about everything in here has a story, and they're countless. They're all valued, and they all mean something in the city. There's a 5-pound plate there, which actually didn't come from the city. It came from my old gym, Olympic, that no longer exists, that I keep there as a reminder of where I came from.
And to stay swole.
I used to be on that team at Olympic, and that's just
that's cool.
Yeah, I keep it there for memories.
Do you get to keep any of it?
Yeah, some of it, and some of it will go into archives.
Yeah.
We've got to work that out over the next few months, which stuff's going to archives and which ones.
Do you get to keep the painting? I hope so.
Yeah, actually, that was a birthday present from my wife, Erica.
Perfect.
So that one actually is going to go hang in our
amazing.
house after.
I hope so. Where do you see San Antonio in the year 2030?
San Antonio in the year 2030 will no doubt be bigger in terms of population, and it's not a goal. We're not trying to be bigger. It's just we're trying to create a city that people love being in and raising their families in and investing in, and that's a byproduct of creating a great place, is that people want to be here. And so it's going to be bigger, and very likely we will be on our way to being the 6th largest city in the United States. It's also going to be a city that, if voters, it's also going to be a city that continues to work together, to rally around each other, and to invest in the human capital and infrastructure necessary to accommodate this growth. So I see San Antonio as being one of the great cities of America. We are on that trajectory right now. If we continue to have the political fortitude to represent the city in the ways it needs to be, an inclusive prosperity that is not afraid to dream big, we are going to achieve that. That's what I see for 2030, which is just 5 years away.
Right.
And it will continue down that track if we continue to have these dreams that we are not scared to try to achieve.
I don't know if you want to answer this, but how do you think the political climate will or will not affect that goal?
That's the big challenge, I think, for San Antonio, is to continue to be San Antonio and in that way be an oasis from all that division and dissension and ugliness that's part and parcel of the political discourse these days. San Antonio has been an exception to that. We collaborate across sectors, across political aisles, and we work together to solve challenges. That's the big issue for San Antonio. Do we want to continue to be that city? If we do, and if we can be that city, then we will continue in this positive trajectory that I just described. Elections have consequences, so I hope that's part of the consideration that voters take when they go to the polls for the municipal elections in May and in June. Do we want to have representatives who believe in the best of us, that want to collaborate, that think inclusion is an important part of our process, that everyone should be invited to be part of the public process, that we don't want to have the haves and have-nots in a strong city. We want to build economic development opportunities and grow our workforce in a way that everyone has an opportunity to thrive. That's the city I've tried to lead. That's certainly been the work of my agenda, and I think that is a reason why we're moving in the right direction, a positive trajectory for the city, and I hope we continue to move in that direction.
I know you've got to be somewhere else in 3 minutes, so is there anything else you want to talk about?
Bruce?
Anything you want to ask Cliff?
When are we going to hang our next Spurs banner or something?
Your next Spurs banner? Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I heard some other trade rumors coming up that might move that timeline.
Oh, does he have insider knowledge?
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So you're staying in San Antonio. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah. This will be home base. I moved to San Antonio in 1995 to go to school. I've been here for 30 years, outside of 2 when I went away for grad school. Unexpectedly have fallen in love with the city and decided long ago this would be my home, along with my wife Erica, who also found this city to be the place we want to raise our children.
It's funny how it has that effect, doesn't it?
Yeah. The hardest part about economic development for the city is getting people to book the first flight. When we do and they get here, they fall in love with the city.
I always tell people that it's you don't know. I had never been here when I came for the job interview, and I was like, I love this place. I want to live here.
Yeah.
It's so cool, and it's more than the Riverwalk. Obviously, I'm just like, come during Fiesta. You don't understand.
It's the people. Yeah. It's the ethos. Yeah. It's the community, and it's the culture.
Well, what are those moments like when you're at an event and there's like thousands of people? You're at the River Parade or one of the Fiesta parades, and you're on a float. What's that feeling like?
I mean, it's elation. I mean, Fiesta's fun, and it's always a good barometer of how you're doing in your job as mayor. And by and large, people have been grateful and happy about the community that we're serving, and it's been a privilege and honor. I always remind folks that, again, nothing good happens in this city without teamwork, and we've got a great team, and that includes the public that has supported year after year these initiatives that have helped us move this city forward.
Will you be endorsing one of the candidates?
No, I'm going to stay out of the mayor's race at least until the runoff.